Hey guys, welcome to another Daily Gem where we can gain inspiration from all aspects of life, whether it be sports, music, our everyday life, things that we see and value, gain knowledge and grow. Today's Daily Gem, I finally got around to watching the movie Air, Courting a Legend. Yeah, so it's a story of Nike back in the 80s going out and finding that special athlete. They were trying to find someone within basketball. We were born, if you're like me, born in the 90s or in the 2000s or even now, we were just born in a time where Nike was already established. So we always knew what Nike was. If I think about the first time I ever had a Nike product, I think I was in like kindy or year one, and I remember I had a bag. It was a highlight green backpack for school that my mum got me. My mum got me a Nike bag. A Filipino immigrant that lives in Australia was buying the Nike brand. We've just been born into knowing that Nike was a top tier brand. Nike going out to get Michael Jordan as their superstar athlete or their signature athlete that blew up Nike to what it is today. In the 80s, you'll see in the movie, basically Sonny Vaccaro, who's played by Matt Damon, he goes out and tries to scout all the college players or rookies that are coming into the league, and they wanted to have the budget that they were going to spend on marketing and split it to 3 NBA players. But Sonny Vaccaro, you see throughout the movie that he's like, no, there's only one, and we really need to go out and get him. And he told Phil Knight, who's played by Ben Affleck, that we need to go out and get this guy because I watched him in college and he's the one. He really believed in Michael more than anyone within Nike. That they all thought he was crazy, but then Phil Knight also believed that he needed someone like that to really come out, to really push this brand further than it was. Because back then, Adidas and Converse were leading the market, especially in basketball or in sneakers in general, especially in basketball, because Converse had Isaiah Thomas in the 80s, and the two guys that were actually so big in the 80s or were like ruling the NBA and culture back then was Magic Johnson versus Larry Bird, and they were both Converse athletes. Michael actually wanted to go and be signed to Adidas. He really wanted to go with Adidas because he liked the retro. Well, we call it retro now, but back then they had the tracksuits that had all the lines, the red ones, the blue ones, and the black ones. And he really wanted to sign with Adidas. Sonny Vaccaro really went out there, and he knew that he could go through his family, and especially his mum, the belief that his mum had in Michael, that she really believed that he was different to anyone that's ever come through the league. And Sonny actually was saying, when you go ahead, take those meetings with Converse and Adidas. There's a cool scene where he goes out of his way to go to North Carolina, to their home. He tells them that this is what's going to happen when you go to Converse, and this is what's going to happen when you go to Adidas. Converse is going to show them that, and he's going to say, we're so glad, like very typical words that, Michael's going to be part of the team with, the likes of Magic and Larry Bird, but like putting Michael on par with those legends. And you know what? All fair to them, because Magic and Larry were the top of the 80s in every way, like in pop culture and in basketball. And he was just a rookie. He's never even played one game of basketball. But Michael Jordan's mum really saw something different in Michael, that he was going to be bigger than both of them. And hindsight's everything. Michael is the biggest player that's ever gone through. Well, you can debate that now, but I'm not going to go through I think Kobe's better, but yeah, anyways. It was beautiful to see how much Michael's mum really believed in his son. But she also had a lot of say in real life too, because if you've watched The Last Dance, you see Michael Jordan's mum actually be interviewed in regards to Nike, Adidas, and MJ even says he wanted to go Adidas, but his mum said to just go to the meeting and hear them out. And we see in the movie when they sit down there, I like how they had a plan that when MJ arrives, Sonny Vaccaro goes, sees them at the door. Then as they walk up, someone else comes, and then the next person comes. Chris Tucker to come through, give the family feeling to the Jordans as they come, but he's late. And Phil Knight, you come in 7 minutes late. You're the CEO. You have to show that you're really busy. You know, we're not too forward. A lot of power games being played. You know, you don't want to show that you're too forward, or they weren't desperate for Michael. And in that meeting, and they're showing this shitty video with some 80s music in the back. You can tell Michael was just like, yeah, you know, he wasn't feeling it. And Matt Damon or Sonny Vaccaro, he spots that out, and he's like, you know, stuff this, and he turns it off, and then he comes with this very, very powerful speech. And I think it was when you watch it, or if you have watched it, you'll see how powerful that speech was to Michael. They were saying, you know, a shoe's only a shoe. And mind you, they already showed the Air Jordan 1 that was created by one of the designers, and they were just saying, you know, this is your shoe. But they were saying a shoe's only a shoe until the right person, you know, wears them. Or, you know, a shoe's only a shoe until Michael steps into it. Nike's plan to Michael was that he wasn't just going to be a part of the team, or just like Converse had with Larry and Magic. It was more, he was the brand, or he was gonna have his own brand. Like, he was the brand, and they really catered everything towards MJ when he first signed into the league. And it changed sneaker culture forever, or it changed the NBA forever. You had to have like 50% or more of your shoes to be in white, and then 51%, and you couldn't have any other colors. But what Nike wanted to do, because all the backlash, the fines that they were going to receive, I think it was 5,000 back then per game, Nike was willing to take that, as people would keep talking about it, and it grew. Nike would always talk about it, and it was publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, right? And it changed sneaker culture forever, for the colors and for players signing to specific brands. Now in the NBA, only the select few, the top tier players, have their own signature brand. But MJ has his own Jordan brand. Like, even Kobe has his own line, but he doesn't have the Kobe line. He doesn't have Kobe brand linked to Jordan. But Kobe has his own signature shoe line, but he doesn't have the the Kobe brand. He doesn't have Jordan brand apparel. You know, it's crazy, because kids these days who've never ever watched, I may have watched a live game, but I can't remember it. And I don't think, I'm not even sure that live NBA games were on Australia TV. So I'm not sure if I'd ever watch a live game, but I know I had VHS tapes of Chicago Bulls, Charles Barkley, that I would watch. Now 10 people have their own shoe line at the moment. Only the top tier NBA players have their own line. But Jordan brand is on its own is huge. Like, and you see in the movie, they finally were able. He decides that he wants to go. He wants his own shares or equity within the business. Or every time someone purchases his shoe, he gets a percentage of it. So that changed sneaker culture forever. That every NBA player that has a signature line and use their likeness to link to a brand, that they receive their own royalties towards someone buying their shoes, kids buying their shoes. But it's crazy to me that kids these days, that have never watched MJ play, or some people, they don't even know who Michael Jordan is, but they want that Michael Jordan shoe. They want that Air Jordan 1, the 3s, the 5s, the 9, the 8s, the 7s, whatever comes out, because of sneaker culture. Michael Jordan is culture from the 90s up until today, and that's about 30 plus years ago now. So MJ will get a percentage of every shoe that he sold. Nike was scared to do that, but they agreed to it. Phil Knight was like, we've already come this far, like, go, let's do it. And it was the best decision Phil Knight's ever made in his life, or Nike has ever done, because it said in the movie that in their first year they made 100 million in sales, like more than they've ever done, because they were just an athletic shoe company back in the day. Yeah, just like Jay-Z's line of, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Like, that's what MJ showed, or he started within the NBA. Like, he's not just a name and then you like, yeah, I'll come join the company. He is the company. He is the man. And it's kind of like influencers these days. Like, okay, I'm not comparing Michael Jordan to influencers these days, but okay, that was bad. More so players, sports stars, models, who else that we see on social media every day? Musicians, you know, or Drake, they're a brand on its own. They're a huge brand. They can link to other businesses. Shaquille O'Neal, he is a brand now. But MJ was the one to really revolutionize that. He really skyrocketed that business brand. I mean, a personal brand is now business brand. He personally, it said, I think it was 200 or 400 million of passive income a year for his Jordan brand, for people buying his shoes 30 plus years later. And Jordan brand alone, not Nike, but Jordan brand alone makes $6 billion in revenue each year now for the Jordan brand. If you don't know much about basketball, Jordan brand has their own signature players to Jordan brand. So it's not like Kobe is with Nike, LeBron's with Nike, signature players. But now there's like Jason Tatum that has his own Jordans, or Luka Doncic has his own Jordans. So like the Luka Jordan 1, you know, instead of Nike, like he's become that big. He's huge. It's crazy how big. And he's not just revolutionized, but he's transcended basketball and he's gone into pop culture. People that have never touched a basketball, don't like basketball, this, that, but they want Air Jordan 1s, or they want a specific Jordan. Rappers like Drake and Kanye. Drake has his own brand linked to Nike now called Nocta, where he has his own shoes, which is most of Jordans as well. He has clothes under the Nocta brand. Kanye, we all know how big Kanye is with his Yeezy line that used to be with Nike, but now he's with Adidas. And then he had the whole debacle and he left Adidas, or Adidas wanted him out, but they saw how much his effect on these brands, or he knows how, they saw how big the impact of him leaving was to the sales of Adidas. He is so big on his as a brand to Adidas, just like how MJ is to Nike. But none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. Those are my key takeaways of why the story of Air courting a legend is so important to not just culture, sneaker culture, or basketball, or the way some artists are such a big brand now. That's not the only reason why it's so important, but it's important in business as well, in capitalism, linking your brand to specific stars or specific people to really advocate or push your brand, not just for them to promote it, but you link someone to the way they carry themselves. Dior will want to be with Dior wants to be with Johnny Depp, Sauvage. You know, there's who else is some popular ones? I don't know. There's a lot. You know, they link, but Michael Jordan really started that for having their own brand within a brand and being a personal brand, like being a superstar in the personal brand. But yeah, my key takeaways from this Air movie was, I thought Matt Damon's speech was very powerful in the pitch meeting, and his talks with Michael Jordan's mum was really the source of why MJ came to Nike. The fact that they didn't actually have Michael Jordan appear in the movie, or like him himself or someone playing him. They only had him, but they would like hide his face. They would just show. If you had someone trying to play him, like when we had Tupac in, what's that movie? Tupac's movie, and I don't know, you just start thinking too much of, he didn't play a good role. Like, it was good that they hit him. Or if Michael Jordan actually came in the movie, he's just too big. He's too big. He's too big of a figure or of a personality. You would have just taken away from the whole movie of the story. You would just think Michael Jordan. You know, let's think about the story instead of the person only. Like the story as a whole, not Michael, because it would have thrown us off. He's just too big. But that's my daily gem. A bit long-winded this time. It's not really a review. It's just my thoughts on the movie and why Air is so important to the culture, business, and life today, or how we perceive so much when it comes to capitalism, and when we go out to shop and buy a specific brand, why would you want to wear this brand? Like, you know, they took off after MJ signing. Oh yeah, that's another good point. I want to add this point before I go. And after Michael Jordan, he set the stage for Nike to, how many people, like, let's go through the stars that have all signed with Nike. They all want to be part of Nike. Kobe, LeBron James, Giannis now. That's in basketball terms. The greatest in tennis, Roger Federer at one point. Rafa Nadal now. And Manny Pacquiao was a Nike athlete too. John Jones of the UFC, when UFC had sponsorships, John Jones was a Nike athlete. Nike get the, not like, oh yeah, the top, a few of the, like, they get the top players, or they get the top athletes. They get the top stars. But yeah, that's my daily gem. See you on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, like, subscribe, share if you like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Wait, I didn't miss anything. Yeah.